and then I'll cut again if I need to. Yeah? Okay. Hi guys, welcome to the assembly guide for this here storage unit and shelving unit. We're going to just get started, I guess. Obviously the item's going to be delivered the main cabinet with the drawers in. And if you do need to remove the drawers to get them up and down, get the cabinet up and downstairs or around corners more easily, when the drawers go back in, they're marked T and B, top and bottom. So just make sure they go back in the right slots. And obviously they just slide in and out as so. These 4 tubes will not be in this position when they're delivered, but they're very easy to identify as they have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top, left to right. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the fittings on the base as well. And it's just a case of making sure that they match up. You'll notice on these tubes that there are wraps of PVC tape. Yep. You'll notice that there are marks of PVC tape on there, which also help to point out where stuff's supposed to be. And you'll be able to work out your shelving orientation from that. So go along and key everything into place using the Allen keys provided. I'm using the grub screws provided. This is something that is the key process to put one of these units together. And then I guess it's a good time now to have a look at how we've sorted our parts. So we've got all the fittings laid out on the ground. Obviously it's just a case of taking them out of the package when it arrives and figuring out what's what. All the fittings that we have allocated for the unit we've built in a way that relies on these screws to point towards the centre of the unit. So this part here, for example, is going to go here. So we've got the black tape mark for it. The screws are going to face towards the centre of the unit, and what we're going to do to fit it is slide it over the top of the tube using a step ladder, and then we're going to work it down to its final position with the bottom edge of the fitting and the top edge of the tape match. Then we're going to use our Allen key and key them into place. Let's do that. So I'm going to get my steps in place. I'm going to go up over the top of the tube. I'm just going to give it a twist left to right as we work over the PVC tape, as it might just limit the room that you have to get things over. Just be careful as you're coming down the steps as well. And then just to show you how it goes into place, bottom edge, top edge, into place. I'm just going to key my screw using either end of the Allen key, although the more torque you can get, the better, so maybe using it with the long part as the handle is a good idea. And you'll note that this is now perpendicular to the front of the cabinet. Just got a right angle here, a right angle there. And we're just going to continue to repeat that process for this whole layer. So we've got 1 and 2 here that Kez has just put into place, 1 here, and as you can see the black tape there means that there's just 1 more to go on at this point. And we're just going to key that in. Then the next stage is to actually just take the first layer of shelving and do exactly the same thing over the top of the tubes using the holes in the shelf to slide it down into place nice and safely. Thank you, buddy. Make sure my ladder's a little closer. So a good technique is always just to go over 1 hole first, and then the second, and then slide down together. A nice controlled slide. And then you can see how these are located now underneath here. Don't worry if things don't look completely level first time around, because we've always got the opportunity to go back and adjust it with our Allen keys afterwards. So maybe it's a good way a good idea to just get everything up and on first, and then we'll worry about making sure everything's level afterwards. So it's just a case of using the tape markings to follow the pattern of assembly. This time we've got a 3-hole shelf which goes across 3/4 of the unit. So my side of the unit only has 1 part, while Kez's has 2. But it's the same process again. Just keying that up with that alignment with the bottom there. And with this being a slightly bigger shelf, we're going to get it up as a pair. Here you go. So we're going to take one end each here. And again, we're going to go, you go from your end first. So we've got 1, 2. I'm just going to use the play in the tube 3. I'm going to bring this down nice and gently together. Into place. Oops. Knock my microphone box off. And then we're just going to keep going and going. So this is next shelf is the one that's going to go the whole width of the unit. So it'll be the heaviest one. Just worth keeping that in mind. Again, it's just a case of getting over that top. Down the tube. Meet your bottom edge and tighten into place. I'm just going to loosen these screws, just make sure that they don't scratch the tubes on the way down, as they'll also limit how smoothly we can slide these over. I'm just going to lock it into place again. Okay, yeah, the longest one, biggest one. Again, it's fine with just 2 people, but it's just worth noting in advance that it's going to be a little heavier than anything else on this shelving system.
Set the base.
And just slide down carefully together. And it's just a case of, again, following that pattern, back up the ladder, screws nice and loose just to make sure they don't intrude on the tube, over the top, down we go, lock that in, use that bottom edge of the tape, top edge of the tape. Sure. Last one's going on. Again, letting it go. Yep. Cool, and that's the shelving almost finished. What we need to do now is just cap it off with all the top metalwork parts. So again, they're orientated in the same way with the screws pointing in and out. Obviously, we've got the long rail here for the ladder to run across. So with that in mind, we have 2 types of fittings for the top. This assembly is for the outside, and you'll see why shortly. We're going to add an elbow onto here that brings the tube across the front of the ladder. So tube 1 and 4 will have something like this, and then tubes 2 and 3 will simply drop down in front. So as you can see, you're going to have the tolerance there just to bring that tube across. Let's get them on and you'll see it in action. Again, keeping that nice perpendicular line from the front edge of the shelf back towards the wall. And then the next thing is going to be the tube across the front that's going to hold the ladder in place. So this tube will have an elbow either end. We're going to have these screws face downwards, like this. That way, if you ever need to adjust it, rather than having to go up and over, above the height of the rail, you could do it from underneath. Just going to pass one end over. Just going to slide that on and lock this into place. This one's worth getting a nice bit of torque on, as obviously it's going to be supporting the ladder. And even though obviously the ladder and the load that the ladder bears is going to be heading in this direction, it's helpful to have it in place. Okay, now's as good a time as any to screw the unit to the wall. We're going to skip it in this video, but as you can see, the 4 top points there, 1, 2, 3, 4 again, left to right. Now's a good time to get the screws in and fix it into the wall, as this now is not going to move again. And it'll make everything one super strong, sturdy unit, which in turn means that you'll end up ready to do the ladder. So with everything fixed in place, fitting the ladder really is pretty simple. So you've got some interesting fittings on the top here. Okay, so just going to illustrate how they work. What these bolts will do obviously is locate the ladder firmly on the tube across the front, so we don't have to worry about it falling away. And of course we can slip it on pretty easily, just like this. So if you grab that end, stand up together. There's a bit of weight in this ladder, make sure the brakes are on. We're just going to offer it up, we'll come to this side, come to the left. I'm just going to do it on this side for now as per the drawing sheets. Those retrofit tees, just going to jump on. Use a step ladder at this point to make sure that the bolts go into place. Obviously, as the ladder is not in and of itself secure. And that's now in place. So we're going to step back and take a look at what we have. And everything is here. As a health and safety tip, please do not go up and down the ladder without the brakes on. To release the brakes, just a simple kick on the back there. So obviously with the brakes loose, the ladder can then move side to side along this tube, and then when you're ready to go up, just lock it in. I'm not going to go up right now just as we haven't secured it to the wall, so I just want to make sure that I'm not using it in an unsafe way. But once everything's fixed in place, that's now ready to use. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If there are any other things that come up during the installation, please feel free to ask for further advice or further information. But other than that, please enjoy both the process of assembling the unit and also living with it afterwards. Many thanks.